Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates again. Welcome once again to our Reading Thucydides Peloponnesian War. Our last session was very long. I apologize for that. That was should have been made two sessions, but I'm making up for that because today we're dealing with the winter, and it's actually super short. I mean, it's very short. Winter is. I thought I was going to be able to do winter, summer, and have equal length of all things, but no. Um, the summer was super long because of the Corinthian Civil War and the effects of it. In other words, it talked about the events of the war, plus also, and then the effects of the Civil War and how the Civil War emerged and its outcome, its history, and then its effects, and how devastating it was, and because how it ultimately totally worked on the passions of the war. Athens as being the side of democracy, and Sparta being the side of oligarchy. Uh, Therefore, the factions within every city between the oligarchic and democratic factions that were doing this would say, "Okay, Athens will help us." Both sides said, "Okay, this is the top problem. Um, often the weaker party in a struggle in a political situation or any kind of fight often will turn to outside people for help. And now, because the war between Sparta and Athens are looking for advantage of doing anything, therefore they now what ends up happening is that the internal conflicts now then become globalized, fundamentally globalized in a sense. Therefore, the internal conflict between the oligarchs and Democrats echoes the conflict between Athens and Sparta, and therefore, and war also takes away all moderation, and this explains and and then what happens is this kind of vicious war of all against all. I mean, you can see, this is, in Sparta's, in Thucydides' account of the Croatian War and the effects of civil war. You can, and remember, Thomas Hobbes is the first, he is the man who translates Thucydides in English, and you can see how interacting with Thucydides really shaped Hobbes's fear of civil war, how civil war leads to the death of a society, how it destroys society. There's nothing left. All the social bonds. Once civil war happens and you've torn everything apart, there's nothing left in that sense. There's no common bond at all holding anyone together. And this is why it's so. He said that this is why for Hobbes, civil war is death of a body politic, of a political entity. It can't. There's no coming back from it in that sense. For Hobbes' perspective, and we have to understand this in that. And we can see this from this occasion and how this spread all through this thing. If the plague was one thing, right, that affected Athens, now this is another plague, a political plague that spreads through. So now let's talk about the winter. It's very straightforward. Now, in chapter 87, he starts the winter. Summers was over. The winter followed. The plague, for a second time, attacked Athens, a second wave of plague. Um, and for although it had never actually left them, there still had been a notable abatement of its ravages. The second visit lasted no less than a year, the first having lasted two. Nothing distressed the Athenians and reduced their power more than this. In other words, the plague really was the thing that really reduced Athens a thing. No less than 4,400 hoplites in the ranks died of it, and 300 cavalry, besides a number of the multitude that was never ascertained. At the same time took place the number of earthquakes in Athens, Ebola and Botia, particularly in Aramachus in the last named country, Botia, to get this place in Botia. So they had earthquakes. You remember, earthquakes are seen as bad omens. At the same time, at the same winter, the Athenians in Sicily and the Regia, and with 30 ships, made an expedition against the island of Elous, it being impossible to invade them in summer owing to their want of water. These islands are occupied by the Lepreans a Cnidian colony who lived in one of them, or no great size, called Lepera, and from this headquarters cultivate the rest. Diomed, Strongia, and Hera. In Hera, the people in those parts believed that Hepatitis was had his first forge, the Greek, the god of the fire and smith, um, um, for the quantity of flame for which they see it sent out by night and smoke by day. These islands lie off the coast of Sicilians and Messalinians, and were allies of the Syracusans. The Athenians laid waste to their land, and the inhabitants did not submit, sailed back to Regnum. While thus the winter ended, and it ended the 5th year of the war with Thucydides was historian. Now, since I beat you up last time with this almost 2 hour long session, which I know very few people are going to sit and watch and listen to, because of, I wish I could. I wish I was better at editing, because I could divide that up into smaller bits, but I'm not. So, so I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to make this an easy, short one. So you can spend some of this time going back to yesterday's one if you didn't finish it. Leave off where you were. Um, and this ends the winter of the 5th year. Um, Again, put your comments below. Like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, say did you like it. Yeah. Give me comments about this, some questions or things you have. I will try to answer them if I can. Or if your comment requires an answer, I will give it. Sometimes people comment, there's no answer to them, saying, "Oh, thank you." Um, um, Again, we're using the landmark Thucydides. So if you do that, get that. Um, Subscribe. Ask others to subscribe. Help build the channel a little bit, so I can do more books. I'm thinking about doing politics. Thinking about doing politics. I might not do it from the beginning to end. I might just start in some place. Um, um, I need people to, follow. If you want to follow me on social media, follow me below. And of course, there's a subscribe star. You can always help me with subscribe star. Again, I'm going to have to talk to someone to help me with Patreon. And that's it. Okay. Thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.